Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today's video we're going to be doing the October Bargain Bead Box Taking Wing collection. Oh, you guys, it just seems like they're getting better and better at the colors and the type of findings we're getting. It's so beautiful. Before we begin this video, I have to let you know that I've changed things around when it comes to this type of vehicle. When it comes to this type of video, I have eliminated some things from the video, and in its place, I've put some tutorials. Now, if you want to give me some feedback, please do so in the comments below, what you'd like to see, if you want to see some stuff put back in there, if you like the tutorials. Let me know in the comments below exactly how you feel about this particular video, because I would like to do most of my videos like this now, where I put the tutorial in it, so I don't have to go back, try to find, matching beads and findings to recreate the pieces that I make here. I just think it'd be easier for me and much easier for you to actually watch and follow along a video like this. So that's what we're gonna do. It helps me out a lot to know how you guys want these videos to be presented, what would be easier for you, because these videos are for you. So without further ado, let's get into this video. For these earrings, I used the 17mm feather charm drop and the 4mm bicones in slate peacock. I used 2 of those. So in this box, we didn't get any earring findings, so I'm using my earring findings from River Crystal Beads. I believe these ones came in an actual collection I never got to use, so I'm using them today. I'm using 4mm jump rings. For these earrings, I'm also using memory wire. Now this is the brass color in the memory wire. This is the size here, so it's pretty tiny. And believe it or not, this is a 4-inch piece. It doesn't look like a 4-inch piece, but I cut a 4-inch piece to make the earring with, okay? So this is really simple. You just put your bicone on there. Okay, and you put your feather drop. And you put your other bicone. Okay, so now they're on there. And then I'm going to take my round nose pliers. Can't really see on my pliers, but I do have a little mark there that I made so that all these loops are the same. Okay, and I made the loop there. I'm just going to close it off. Okay, so this is what it's going to look like so far. Now I'm just going to take and bend this in a little bit. So this, you have to be a little bit gentle here, but because I find that this brass colored memory wire is not as strong, not quite as strong as the silver plated. But that's what makes it so nice to bend it into shape if you want to. So I'm going to bend it just really slowly because I want to bend it quite even. Make sure that the loops bypass each other a little bit, and then just hold it there for a couple of seconds. Okay. So now it's bent up just a little bit more. Okay. Now we're going to start putting it together with our jump rings. So I'm just going to take the jump ring apart like that. I'm going to put the jump ring in this side and go around to this side. And before it pops out, close your jump ring. So now you got the first one on there. I'm going to put the next one on there. And I'm putting 2 jump rings for a couple of reasons. 1, I think it looks really pretty. And 2, it's going to support the other one holding this memory wire. So we're going to put the second one on there. You want the splice to be on the back. Okay, so I'm going to put this one with a splice on the back. So both the splices are on the back. You don't want those sitting in the front. And then I'm just going to kind of bend them and straighten them a little bit. Make sure that they both sit to the back of the earring. That's what it should look like now. Now for the next step, we're going to take another jump ring. I'm going to put it on this loop here. Close that. And we're going to take the other jump ring. I'm going to put it on this side. All right, and now you should have a jump ring on either side of those loops. Now we're going to take one final jump ring. I'm going to open it up, and you're going to attach those two jump rings to that jump ring, and then you're going to put your earring finding or earring hook on there. I'm just going to make sure that I'm at the front here. And there we have a very simple and cute earring done. Okay, as you can see, I've got half the necklace done. I'm going to show you how to do the other half and put everything together. First things you're going to need is your 4x3 millimeter rondelles in Biscay Shimmer. You're going to need 32 of these. This is number 2. Number 3 is your jewelry chain. Number 6, these ones here, is your 8x6 millimeter crystal rondelles. These ones are in goldenrod shimmer. You're going to need 26 of those. Number 7 is your 56 by 17 millimeter feather pendant. You have 1 of those. Number 8 is your toggle clasp. Number 10 is your bead caps. You're going to need 4 of those. Number 19 is your 4 millimeter bicones, and they are in slate peacock. You're going to need 30 of those. And you're going to need some brass memory wire. 11 or 12 beading needle. 11 seed beads in the color brass, and that'll be to match the findings that you have. And 6-pound fire line. I'm using the color crystal. Okay, let's get started. To begin, we're going to be doing the main part of the necklace, so that's this part here. I've cut approximately 3 feet of thread. You can cut more if you want, if you're more comfortable with using longer pieces of thread. This is what I have on my thread now. So 2 11-ohs, one of the bigger rondelles, 2 11-ohs, rondelle, 2 11-ohs, rondelle, 2 11-ohs, and a rondelle. So you have 4 of the large rondelles and 8 of the 11-oh seed beads. We're going to bring that all the way to the end of the thread, and we're going to tie it off. And as you know, I like to do 3 knots. Tie it nice and tight. I'm going to use my cutters just to cut that end off. All right, and I'm going to pull that through the bigger rondelle just to hide that knot. Now that we've gone through that first rondelle, go through the next 11-oh seed bead and add 1 11-oh seed bead. And go through the next 11-oh, the big rondelle, and the next 11-oh. Continue that all the way around, going through the rondelle, the first 11-oh, the rondelle, and the first 11-oh, putting an 11-oh between the 2 11-ohs in the first row. Until you get to the end, and you put 1 11-0 in between those two 11-0s. And then go through the next two 11-0s. And that's what it should look like there. Now we're going to add 6 11-0s to our needle. So 6 11-0s. We're going to go around and go back through that middle 11-0 in our last sequence here. So you're coming out this way. You want to go back in this way, like that. Then go through those 3 first 11-0s of that loop you just made, so that you're sitting here now. Now we're going to add our next sequence of beads. So I put on one of the smaller rondelles, 2 11-0s, 1 small rondelle, 2 11-0s, 1 small rondelle, and 2 11-0s and 1 small rondelle onto my thread. And I'm going to go down, I'm going to take my needle and go down those next 3 11-0s from the loop before. Pull that nice and tight. Then go through that middle 11-0 and go back up those 3 11-0s from the loop, and then take 1 extra 11-0 and go through the next rondelle. So you're coming out of this 11-0, you pick up 1 11-0 and you go through this rondelle, back the other way. So you're sitting like that. All right, now go through the next 11-0, between the 2 smaller rondelles, and pick up an 11-0 and go through the next 11-0, the rondelle, and the next 11-0. Take another 11-0, go through the 2 11-0s there, go through the next 11-0, the next rondelle, and the next 11-0. Then pick up 1 more 11-0, go through the next 11-0 and the next rondelle. Now you're going to go through this middle 11-0 between these 2 lighter, smaller rondelles, and we're going to go back up towards the other end again. So go through all the beads till you get to the top. And then you want to go through that next 11-0 to sitting at the top of this 11-0. Now you're going to add another one of these. So like before, add 6 11-0s. Come around and go through this 11-0 here. Go up through the first 3 11-0s from the loop. Then we're going to add this sequence of beads again. So we've added a rondelle, 2 11-0s, a rondelle, 2 11-0s, a rondelle, 2 11-0s, and a rondelle. Now we're going to go back down these 3 11-0s. Through this middle 11-0 here. And then up through the other 3 beads of the remaining loop. Add 1 11-0 and then go through this rondelle. So you're coming out this side, go through this rondelle. And go through one more 11-0. And then just add an 11-0 in between those two 11-0s. Go through the 11-0, the rondelle, and the next 11-0. And then go through this 11-0 here in between the two rondelles. And then I want you to make your way back up till you get to this point here. So go through all your beads again. Okay, until you're sitting right here. Now we're going to add this sequence of beads here. And then go back down and around through this 11-0 to create that loop. Then go up through the first 3 11-0s of that loop. So that's where you're sitting now. That's where we're at now. Okay, then add this sequence of beads. So like before, I've added a small rondelle, 2 11-0s, a small rondelle, 2 11-0s, small rondelle, 2 11-0s, and one more small rondelle. And I'm going to go back down these 3 11-0s of the loop. Then take your needle and go through the next middle 11-0. And then go back up those 3 11-0s of the loop. Add 1 11-0 to your needle. You're coming out this 11-0. You want to go up this rondelle. Okay, now I've gone through the next 11-0. You want to add the next 11-0 to go in between those two 11-0s. Go through that 11-0, the rondelle, and the next 11-0. And then add 1 11-0. Go through the next 11-0, the rondelle, and the next 11-0. And then add 1 more 11-0 and go through the next 11-0 and the rondelle. Now go up through that 11-0 in between the two rondelles and make your way back up to get to this point. And this is what you should have so far. Now we're going to do one more of the yellow rondelles. So we're going to add another square, the yellow rondelles. So like before, same thing. and you've added another square. And we're going to keep going. Put another 6 11-ohs on your needle and do your loop like you've done before. Go through your first 3 beads in the loop. Now we're going to put on our rondelles, okay? So we're going to do the exact same thing. What's on your thread looks like this. And just like before, go down 3 of the 11-ohs on that loop. And my dog's barking outside. Okay, and then go up those 3 11-ohs. Add 1 11-oh, and you're coming out of this 11-oh, go over to the next bicone. Okay. Now what you're going to do is add 1 11-oh and go between the 2 11-ohs. So take your 11-oh, go through the next 11-oh, the next bicone, and the next 11-oh. Do the same thing between the next 11-ohs. Okay. Then go through the last 11-oh and the bicone. So it looks like that. Now what you want to do is go through that next 11-oh. So the middle 11-oh between the 2 bicones, and the next bicone, and the next 11-oh. Now what we're going to do is go all the way around again, only we're going to miss this outer 11-oh. We're going to bypass it and go to the next 11-oh bicone 11-oh sequence. Missing this one completely. Do that again. You want to miss this 11-oh. So you're coming out of this 11-oh, you go into the next 11-oh bicone and 11-oh. And do the same thing here. You're coming out of this 11-oh, miss this 11-oh, and go through this 11-oh. So skip that 11-oh in the middle. And then go back around again till you get to the top, missing this outer 11-oh. You don't want to go through that again. And then you go through this 11-oh to get ready for your next little link. Now what that does, by skipping these 11-ohs, it keeps these bicones more square. Where these ones stay square automatically, these ones kind of elongate, so you want to stop that. So now we're at the top and we're ready to add our next. So what we're going to do is we're going to add these ones. Okay, we're going to add these ones again. I'm going to go down and around this 11-oh to create our loop. Pull it tight. Now we're going to go down these 3 11-ohs. And come back up the last 3 11-ohs in that loop. Then add an 11-oh. You're coming out of this 11-oh, you're going through this rondelle here. And then we're going to go through the next 11-0. Now what you're going to do is you're going to add your 11-0 between the two 11-0s. So this one here, and this one here, and then go back up through all the beads until you're at the top again. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 2 more of these onto here. Okay, so just like before, just like I showed you, you know, you do your 6, then your square, and your 6, and then your square. So add on 2 more of these here to here, just like I showed you, and I will meet you back here for the next step. Okay, I'm just finishing adding my 2 bicone squares, and I just want to remind you that when you get to this point, like once you've already added your 3rd little 11-0, don't forget to go around that one more time, bypassing that particular 11-0. Again, you want it to keep its square shape and stick out a little bit. So don't forget to miss, go around one more time. Miss that middle 11-0. So it looks like a beautiful square. When I did the first side, I realized that these bicones like to, you know, they like to, instead of sit like this, they kind of squeeze into each other, and it just doesn't look as nice. So yeah, this is what we have. Now we're done. I haven't tied off. I'm going to tie off right here. Okay, because I haven't figured out what I'm going to do about those end pieces yet. So I'm going to tie this off. We are ready for our next step. So what I did for the main pendant is I cut off about a 4-inch piece of memory wire. And what I did was I put on 2 of the bicones, spacer bead, the large rondelle spacer bead, bicone, the leaf pendant, and then did the same on the other side. All right, so now you could pretty much decide if you want to have a little bit of this memory wire showing. You don't have to, you can put it all the way to the end if you want. So it sits kind of like that. You gotta decide. This is at the point where you need to figure out what you like the best, if you want some of that showing or not. So I just like to move this over. I'm gonna move this over and just have a look at it this way. Like that. Which will look nice, or you can leave a little bit of memory wire showing, which will also look nice. So it really is up to you. I think I'm going to leave just a slight bit of it showing, because this memory wire, being that it's brass, does match all the findings, so it is very pretty. Okay, so I'm going to cut off just a little bit of this. So remember, if you're working with memory wire, use a really good set of clippers. These are my small clippers that I use for my very small wire, 18 gauge copper wire. But when you're working with memory wire, you want a serious pair of wire cutters. So I'm going to cut it about there. Now hold both pieces, because this memory wire will go flying. Now I'm going to take my really small round nose pliers, and I'm going to go pretty much right to the widest, almost the widest part of that. So for this side, I did the loop to the outside and down. I'm going to do the same thing with this side here. So you want to roll it all the way down like that. And then I'm going to take my flat nose pliers and I'm just going to play around with it, get it to push it in a little. I want to make sure this is pretty straight. So now I just have to add this piece to my work. Now I'm going to add my jump rings. And these are, of course, the brass colored jump rings to match with the findings that we got with this box. So what I've decided to do is just double up on my jump ring. So I added a second one to this side. I'm going to add a second one to this side. It looks really nice, and it also reinforces. I'm going to measure this for you now and let you know exactly how long it's going to be. I believe I'm about 7.5 inches short of actually where I want this necklace to fit on me. This necklace is approximately 8 inches on either side. Now that's going to be too short for me. I want it to be about 7.5 inches longer from here to the end. So to make this the size that I want, I'm going to add 3.5 inches on either side. So that will include the toggle clasp. Okay, so this toggle clasp is approximately an inch long. So I'm going to add 2 3/4 of the chain. So this chain that they gave us here, just to make the length that I want it. Now, if you want it to be longer, you just add more chain. If you don't want it to be, then you add less chain. So that's going to be 5.5 inches that I've got to measure out. So about here. And these do have a place where you can open them up. And my needle keeps bugging me here. Okay. So I'm just going to open that up. And there you've got your piece. And then just take a rough estimate of what the middle is. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same as I had done before, and I'm going to double up on my jump rings. Add your chain. And there is my first signature piece from the Taking Wing collection, this November's Bargain Bead Box. And we are going to move on to the matching bracelet. Okay, for this simple little matching bracelet that goes with the pendant and the earrings that I made, I just used the same beads that I'd used in the pendant. The large roundels, the small roundels, spacer beads, bead caps, and the metallic gold 4mm bicones. So this memory wire with the beads on it measures 5.5 inches. I cut 2 pieces like that. This piece of memory wire, I'm just gonna leave it plain, just like that. It looks really, really nice with this very beaded, colorful bracelet. The two of them make a beautiful bracelet. So this is gonna match the pendant and earrings that I made. Now what I want is a 7.5 inch bracelet. The toggle clasp measures 7/8 of an inch. So I cut a piece of chain that we got with the box, 1 1/8 inch. So that should equal 7.5 inches for me. If you have a bigger or slightly smaller wrist, you can still do the same pattern here, which also I'll show you a close-up of it there. Okay, so you can still do this pattern. You just got to measure your wrist and find out exactly how much you want the chain to be. So if you want it to be bigger, just cut a little bigger. If you want it to be shorter, you can do that as well. This here, 5.5 inches, is a very, very small wrist. So if you have that smaller wrist, then you're going to have to cut back on your length of memory wire if you choose to make this. So now we're going to put everything together. So I'm going to put one side like that, and then I'm going to put the chain on the other side so that it'll sit kind of crooked, but that's okay, because with this side of the toggle clasp, you want to be able to pull it up and through. So this straight piece will actually sit in there really nicely, but you want to be able to pull it through. So I'm going to take my jump rings and I'm going to start putting this together. There you go, everybody. The Taking Wing collection from October's Bargain Bead Box. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed putting it together for you. As I've said before, please let me know in the comment section if you prefer my videos to be made in this way with the tutorials right off the bat. It does take a little more time to actually put a video like this together because I am creating at the same time as I am trying to design these pieces. And some of the pieces that were created in this video today were done on film about 3-4 times. I'd taken stuff apart, putting it all back together. Yeah, that's the creative process. Don't forget to like this video if you did like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell for upcoming videos. I will leave my website here for you. Go over there, sign up for my newsletter, and that signs you up for the monthly giveaway. You guys have a great day, and I would love to see you back here for my next one. Bye.